The real reason men shame you for wanting provision is not what you think it is. He called you a gold digger the minute you mentioned you wanted a provider. The men who do that are the very men who can't provide. This is the dating strategy for women who are done funding a man's half and mistaking it for equality. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which men will try to shame you before you waste a perfectly good night away from the comfort of your sofa. And you're also going to learn how to position yourself so that high value men quietly compete to provide, while low value men loudly disqualify themselves. Let's get into it. Before I go any further, this video isn't for the woman who is fine splitting everything under the guise of equality. If you want to waste your time, money, and resources, that's your choice, and I'm not here to talk you out of it. This is for the woman who has quietly been resenting that math, the one who is tired of funding a man's comfort and mistaking it for partnership, the one who's had to prove that she's not a gold digger before a man will even agree to buy her dinner. If that's you, keep watching. I was sitting across from a man on a first date. It was a coffee date. Don't come for me. This was downtown Chicago back when I was dumb V. He had been perfectly pleasant. We laughed, we had a great time, and enjoyed getting to know each other until the server presented the check. He didn't reach for it. He looked at me and said word for word, "I want to make sure we're on the same page. I'm not looking for a gold digger." Excuse me? I didn't move. I held my cup with both hands and sipped long and hard. 3 seconds of silence. And then I said this. Interesting. He laughed the kind of laugh that buys your brain time to catch up. He said, "No, I didn't mean you specifically. I just meant in general." Okay? That's when I knew that date was over, and he was over, because he decided it. So how did I know? Well, 20 minutes before the check, he had mentioned unprompted that his credit cards were full. He was about to reframe my desire for provision as a character flaw. Here's what nobody says out loud. I was having lunch at a club in Monaco with a man who owns 33 properties across Europe. He wasn't bragging about it, just mentioning it in a way that you would mention a car. He said, and I quote, "I invest in my wife the way I invest in my homes, because she is an extension of my brand. And when she walks into a room, people see me." He wasn't even being romantic. He was explaining return on investment. He said, "The men who complain about what women cost are the men who cannot afford to compete." Wealthy men already know what broke men refuse to admit. A woman's contribution is worth 10 times what he invests in her. It's not controversial in a wealthy man's world. It's just math. He's going to tell you exactly who he is before you ever bring up the word provision. You don't even have to ask. Just listen to how he talks about women. I've been Miss V for a minute, so I tend to ask one question, usually on the second date, but sometimes on the first, if something feels off and I want clarity early. You want to know what that question is? Good. What does a woman being in her feminine mean to you? Watch what happens. A high value man leans in, his face lights up. He's going to tell you unprompted because he's already thought about it and experienced it. He wants a woman who receives, someone he can pour into. But the man who can't provide, he's going to stumble, he's going to deflect, he's going to say something like, "Oh, well, I think we're all past that gender stuff. I just want someone who's my equal." Really? What he means is, I want someone who pays half and still cooks dinner, does my laundry. He wants a traditional wife with a modern woman's salary. All of the softness, none of the effort. What he's really looking for is a mommy bang maid, someone who mothers him, sits and spends, and still splits the rent. I had a client 4 months into a relationship, splitting everything. And before you go roll your eyes and calling her dumb, I already did that. Okay, I'm just kidding. I stopped her mid-sentence and I asked her, "Has he financially improved your life or made it more expensive?" She hesitated, then pulled up Venmo. Scrolled back 90 days, live on this call. A little miss, her face changed 3 separate times. She was confused, then disbelief, then disgust. Then, quietly, she says, $4,730. Her voice cracked on that number. "That's more than my car payment for a year," she said. Another one of my clients found out through a mutual friend that her ex used 2 years of what she contributed to their household to buy a condo. Not their condo, his condo. 6 weeks after he broke up with her, he moved his new girlfriend in, younger and decidedly more feminine. Here's what that man will never admit. She didn't lose her spark. He drained it out of her. 2 years of splitting everything wore her down until the woman he was originally attracted to simply wasn't there anymore. She was tired, depleted, and carrying half the load, but all of the resentment. And instead of owning up to what he did to her, he resented her for it. So he trades her in for someone closer to his ideal, someone who still has her spark, because she hasn't spent 2 years building him up on her back. Every penny you contribute to a man like this doesn't build your future, it builds his. And it was never supposed to be equal to begin with, not when you count everything women carry that never shows up on those bank statements. All your contribution does is funds the version of you he will eventually replace you with. And the woman he replaces you with will fund the next one after that. The cycle doesn't break, it just moves to someone new. And somewhere underneath all the anger, there is a quiet thought that you have not said out loud. I wasted my best years on dating men like this, and now I'm paying for it in loneliness. This is exactly the kind of pattern recognition we drill for inside of the Dating Strategy Lab. Not theory, actual scripts and vetting language you practice before you're ever sitting across from a clown like this. The founding rate is still open, but it is going up soon. The link is below if you want in before that changes. Now, here's the part that changes how you see yourself in this, not just him. Somewhere in the last few years, you got exhausted from proving how strong and independent you are. And you were shamed for wanting something everyone calls outdated. And you've never said that part out loud. I was coaching a woman inside my private community last month. She was dating a great guy on paper. Good job. He lived alone. No obviously obvious red flags. But something felt off, but she couldn't quite name it. She just had a feeling. I asked her to walk me through their last conversation, what she could remember. She said something like, well, he values equality in relationships. I was like, okay. Then what happened? She says, his mother raised him as a single parent while working 2 jobs. I was like, oh, fuck. And then the date is coming to an end, and he says, what's your policy on splitting things? 3 phrases, 10 minutes, 1 conversation. Her whole face changed as a result of saying this back to me, even though she had already lived through it. I said, that is provision-phobic language. He's not asking you to be equal. He's asking you to outdo his mother. Well, she went quiet. She's like, I thought I was being supportive. I bet you did. You were funding his comfort at the expense of your standards. Here's what it looks like on the other side of that. I was at a rooftop bar last summer, and a man confidently approached me. Now, people don't ask what you do for a living here, but he looked at me and he says, you look like the type of woman that expects a man to pay for everything. Well, naturally, I didn't explain myself. What I did say next came as a surprise. I said, I expect a man to be a man. Okay? That sentence did in 10 seconds what most women spend 3 months trying to figure out. It exposed who he was. The wealthier the man, the quieter he is about what a woman costs. The broker the man, the louder he gets about gold diggers and provision. Provision was never the problem. His inability to provide is the problem. And instead of admitting that, he's going to shame you for expecting it. 24 hours from now, when a man says something that used to make you apologize for your standards, I want your shoulders to drop half an inch, your breath to slow, and your hand to go still on the stem of that glass. He's testing you. Are you going to pass or fail? Don't go rushing to fill the silence. You let him hear what he just said. And if you're seeing somebody already, tonight, before you respond to his next complaint about the cost of something, while you're over here trying to fix it, open up your Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, whatever it is, to send him your portion. Do this instead. Go 90 days back. 2 minutes. That's it. Add up what you've contributed so far under the guise of equality. Don't explain this away. Look at that number, because that number is your answer. The very men shaming you for wanting provision are the ones who cannot provide it. That's why I teach dating strategy for women. What's the most ridiculous excuse a man has ever given you for not wanting to provide? Drop it in the comments and I will see you there. The next video breaks down the exact positioning language that makes high caliber men pursue you while low effort men disqualify themselves before wasting your damn time. Will I see you there? Awesome.